get you on the radio. Yeah, you gotta get on the radio. It doesn't take a long time.
You gotta get on the radio. Welcome to Around the House with Eric G. We have a special here today and a special guest as well. Welcome to the Saturday podcast special. This is what we're doing on Saturdays right now while we have best ofs that are airing all over the Radio Northwest Network and on KXL for this week and, of course, next week. And then we have a whole new program coming up, which we'll talk a little bit more about here towards the end of hour 2 of the show. But for right now, let's talk about what we're talking about today. This is this special, so I don't want to confuse you when you're looking at the podcasts on Spotify or iTunes, whatever you're looking at. You will see me post up. We'll have up, it'll say the new Saturday podcast special. And then if you're listening on the radio, for instance, you'll hear the best of that's up there too. Why am I posting the best of up? Well, I explained it last episode here. I just want to make sure that people listen to the radio that maybe didn't catch something can still catch it without having to look back and figure it out. So that's why you're going to see kind of double the content on the weekends. So, well, thanks for joining us. I've got a special guest in the studio, my better half that you hear about on the show all the time, Julie sitting in the captain's chair.
Hey, hey.
Welcome, baby.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, let's have some fun today. So, first off, I want to give out the phone numbers here for a couple reasons. One, call in here. When you call in, that's going to go into the recording system. When you call in, and then what we're going to do is we're going to call you back and we'll record the show and put it into the show. So that's how we're going to do this for a little bit here. So call into the show, 503-521-7072. That's 503-521-7072. Call, leave a message. We'll call you back, and we'll get you on the show that way. So we're kind of in that remodeling process right now, but stay tuned. We've got some exciting stuff ahead. Well, one of the things I want to talk about today that Julie and I here were talking about, because it's been all over the news, you're seeing the Roundup concerns with people winning lawsuits over cancer.
Yeah.
You know, and we were having a good talk about this kind of before the show, and it's interesting. You know, when you look at this, there's people out here that have been using this stuff as commercially used, and of course, just like any chemical, if you get a ton of it on you, there might be some bad results. It appears that's the case. I'm not making any excuses for Roundup or what's happening there. I'm just saying that anytime you're using a chemical, Julie was looking into this as well. And it's kind of interesting when you see what the application instructions are.
Yeah, the instructions are very simple and they're super comprehensive. I mean, their website explains it really well, and each bottle has a very comprehensive step-by-step instructions on how to use it, when to use it, and what specific weeds you can use it on. So it's very detailed, and there's videos to watch. So they make it pretty easy, pretty mistake-proof if you just follow the instructions.
And of course, like Roundup, like anything like that, you don't want to use it anywhere that it's going to drain into a lake. So if you've got that big, nice fishing pond out back, you shouldn't be using it around the edge of that because it can hurt fish and things like that.
Right, and they have several products as well. So not one product for everything.
That was one thing that you brought up. You're like, man, there's a dozen products on this.
Yeah, there were so many products. So just your very basic one, you're going to walk into a big box store and find on the shelf for like $27.
Yep.
That's the one. It's not for garden beds. It's for specific weeds. It's, so you just got to be real careful what you're using it for.
Yeah, one little tip, too, that I've noticed with this, if you're going through, let's say you're taking the weeds out that are between the cracks in the driveway, which is a common use for it. Seeing the commercials, everything else. If you're walking around and you're spraying that, or maybe you've got an area on the side of the house you're just trying to kill everything and nuke it right there with. One thing you don't want to do is go walking right through the stuff you just sprayed and walk right across your lawn, because you're going to have nice footprints across your lawn of dead grass.
Exactly. And you probably don't want to let your pets out right near there as well.
Yeah.
Just wait a couple hours. Let it dry.
Wait a couple hours. Let it dry off.
It takes about 3 hours to dry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
And at that point, it's waterproof also.
Okay. So the rain can come and
rain
you're okay.
can come, but you got a good 3 hours before it's completely dry and ready.
So, but here's what I would do, guys. If you're going to be out there spraying a lot of this, and because there's obviously been some cancer issues with this, enough for a couple juries to say, hey, you owe these people money.
Right.
If you're out doing, like, you've got a farm and you're going to put a lot of this out, maybe you might want to go beyond those instructions and maybe suit up in a Tyvek suit where it doesn't come through. It's $20 for a Tyvek suit. And those are those kind of almost flimsy, papery feeling suits that you can get Even the home centers sometimes sell them in the paint department.
Right.
You could put those up, tape on some rubber gloves, put on a respirator with a face mask on it. Now you have none of it touching your body. If you've got good gloves on and you're covered up in the Tyvek suit, it's going to reduce your risk. And you don't want this stuff on you anyway.
No, I mean, for the everyday guy or gals outside in our yard spraying a little bit, you don't need to probably take that extreme a measure. But if you're going to use it in a large quantity in a big way and there's other people around, you really want to make sure that everybody is safe.
Yeah, I mean, even if I was going to go out and let's say I was going to kill my lawn to put a whole new lawn in, I'd probably dress up a little bit more because I'm going to be putting a lot out there. So
I mean, it works, but it's a chemical.
Yeah, it's meant to kill things, and you don't want it to kill you. So let's be honest. It's a weed killer. So that's one of the things. Another thing that I want to talk about, too, that I noticed driving around this week a lot, now that it's springtime and it's coming around, I'm seeing more building materials on the side of the road and the side of the freeway.
Yeah.
This isn't fools out there dumping it. It's people not tying stuff down. And you can jump on YouTube and look at the fails of people leaving a home center, Lowe's, Home Depot, lumberyard, whatever. If you've got that little VW Jetta with a roof rack, you might not want to put 400 pounds of material on top of it.
Probably not.
And try to rope it down because it's not going to work. So there's two things I want you to do before you go into the home centers. One, if you don't have a truck or a way to carry it, it's really inexpensive to have it delivered, or go to U-Haul, go to whatever the place is. The Orchid, or like Home Depot, for instance, they rent tools in their tool centers. They rent trucks. They have the little trucks you can rent for an hour. There's a lot of different ways to get things home if you don't have the right thing to haul. But if you do, here's the big thing. Tie it down with ratchet straps.
Yes.
Every time. You see this in the news all the time because you
do.
work in that industry.
Yes.
How many times do we see something that fell off another truck or a piece of metal came out or
the
whatever?
car behind it.
Yeah, and people get killed. We've seen people get killed in the last few years in the Northwest by this. So you don't want that on your conscience. And even if you miss and don't hit somebody, you just paid good money for something. Why are you throwing it on the side of the road?
Right.
So take a minute. I've made my mistakes tying stuff down. I have hauled way too much stuff in a truck home before. I mean, my biggest mistake, I was in my early 20s. I was building a garage. Took my little quarter-ton Chevy pickup down to the home center and picked up all my siding. I was even working there at the time. I probably knew better. I put this 16-foot siding in the back of my 8-foot bed with the tailgate down. And I got on the freeway to go between Kennewick and Richland. Yeah, Tri-Cities people. I was over there. Going from the what was the Richland Home Depot, which is now Kohl's, going over to in the middle of Richland. I'm on the freeway between Kennewick and Richland. Guess what happens? I have so much weight in the back of the truck, the front wheels start coming off the ground. How do you know when the wheels are coming off the ground? Because the steering don't work.
Oh, my gosh.
So the faster I got, the more lift I got on the front, the more the back end sagged, and my wheels were coming off the ground in the front where I could literally turn the wheel from side to side and it wouldn't move the truck.
Jeez.
So then when I slowed down, hit the brakes, it went forward, you could steer again. That was my first life experience of maybe I should have had a delivery truck or borrowed a trailer, rented a trailer, done something like that. So really kind of pay some attention to those kind of things. Let's not get anybody hurt this year. And more importantly, let's not kill anybody with this stuff. So tie it down. Just takes a minute. If you got to go spend $20 on ratchet straps, keep them behind the seat of your truck or in the storage compartment. Or if you like hauling stuff on the roof rack, do that too. Just make sure that you're loading it up correctly. And then make sure if you're hauling a trailer, you load the trailer right. Head over to Facebook on Around the House with Eric G. That's where I put up all the stuff. You'll see a video that I posted up this last week that showed it was a model with a trailer on it with some weights that moved around. Mm-hmm. Well, it showed what happens if you put the weight in the back to the front. When you had the weight loaded correctly, the guy would knock the back of the trailer with his hand. It was like on this little treadmill kind of thing, so it was running. It would just equal itself back out again. He'd bump the back a little bit, and that trailer would start whipping, and the car would spin out. So it just shows you if you put the weight correctly and not too much weight on the back of the trailer and more towards the tongue, which is the front, you're going to have a safer load with that. So pay attention to those kind of things and just let's be safe this year.
And if you're unsure, go ask somebody who works at wherever you're at.
Yeah,
I did that.
Ask some help, yeah.
Yeah, before I knew you, it was just me and my daughters. And I would do stuff by myself all the time. But if I wasn't sure, I wasn't going to put anybody at risk. You go in and say, hey, hello, I need some help organizing this, and Tell me the exact right way to do this so no one gets hurt.
They're always there to help you because the last thing they want to do is see somebody get hurt. So ask for help. They'll give it to you. So great advice. Well, I wanted to talk about one of the big topics here that I wanted to dive into is my top 10 mistakes you make saving money that cost you money. That's a topic that you're stepping over dollars to save pennies sometimes.
Right.
And there are common mistakes, and you've heard some of these before in previous episodes, but I thought, let's do one big one here to really talk about these things because it can save you money on the front end, but man, that money on the back end is what robs right out of your pocket. So the first one I wanted to talk about here is buying an inexpensive dishwasher. See, here's what happens. When you buy an inexpensive dishwasher, the first thing they are is they're noisy as all get out.
Yeah.
Your old dishwasher, it's your old condo.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You were not watching TV when the dishes were
No,
running.
you were not.
It was rah, rah, rah. It sounded like a meat grinder going off in the kitchen. Well, then we upgraded it with the one we've got in the house now.
Right.
And
Silent.
And that's the difference. And they clean so much better. What you pay for a dishwasher is what you get. If you go buy a $300 dishwasher, you probably paid, unless that's on a half off sale, you got a dishwasher that is a low-end dishwasher. I'll be honest, to get a good dishwasher, you need to spend $500 or $600 to get something that's going to start to be quiet and start to clean the dishes.
Right. And not have to be replaced in like 2 years.
Yeah.
So then you're doubling what you've spent at that point.
Yeah. So if you buy something and if you spend 7 or 8, you might get something that might last 10 or 15 years. And so these are things you need to take a look at when you do that. And it's one of those things, too, that you should take a peek at on the inside when you open the dishwasher up. If it's plastic on the inside, I'm done. I'm not even buying it. I don't care what brand it is, whatever else. Plastic tub, I'm done. The stainless steel tubs, when you see that shiny stainless steel interior, that reflects the heat back in. So during the heat cycle, it works better. And then more importantly, it doesn't grab the smells that the old plastic ones did. You could run some garlic or something through there. Man, that stuff soaked into the plastic.
Yeah.
And you had this clean dishes but a ripe smelling dishwasher. And it always had just a little bit of a garbage smell. So that's, again, one of those things that works out really well. As well, always use, and I'll tell you what, always use that rinse aid in there as well. You saving a few bucks on not putting rinse aid in there and having that little red light on, guess what? Dishes are getting cleaned as well, and that's all part of the process.
Right.
Now, here's another secret, too. I always take a look and see, and we're not really following that now because we're buying Costco stuff, but I like to use the detergent that the dishwasher manufacturer designed it around.
Oh.
If you think about it, they all have their brand. Some will say, use Cascade. Some will say Finish, whatever. Use the product they use because you know something? If it's in there, that's the one that they designed it around. So It's going to be a better off. So if you don't have your instructions, you tossed them, or maybe you moved in, jump online. Get on the interweb. You can find it there. And then that's a good way to do it. And then, of course, using actually good. If you're buying the cheap detergent, that's another part of this dishwashing process. What happens when you buy cheap detergent that's maybe saving you 20% over what regular detergent is?
Right.
But if you got to wash the dishes twice, you didn't save anything.
No, you did not. Especially on your water bill.
Especially on the water bill, because the water bill's not cheap.
No,
So
it's not.
that's one of those things that, do that, get it, and, you're going to enjoy that little bit more that you're going to spend. I'll be honest, I would rather see you go out and find a damaged one that's got a broken box or a ding in the door, put that in there for half price and buy one that's half price.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be better off with that. So you're going to hear this one here. We talked about this one a few weeks ago at the Home and Garden Show. One of the biggest mistakes you can make, not maintaining your heating and cooling system. I mean, that is one of those that changing the filters and all that stuff, you get burned.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, when you and I first met, you had asked me when you came to my townhouse when the last time I had changed the filters was, because you were going to offer to help change them. And I was like, well, I'm guessing when I bought it, they were probably new. I mean, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And to see what they looked like when you brought them down and the efficiency that my system had once we had new clean ones in there Wow, it makes a big difference. And all the allergens, I'm sure I was exposing myself and my daughters to constantly.
Oh, yeah, especially with pets.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
I mean, you did have something going that you had tall ceilings and the vents were in the ceiling, which kept some of that away.
Right, which was partly why I don't think I bothered to, they were just up so high. And,
Yeah, they're 9 feet up. You had to change the filter.
I'm sure they're good.
Yeah.
They were not.
They were not. They were more like a nice quilt.
They kind of were. Yeah. I was a little embarrassed by that.
It's all good. But that's the thing. I mean, I did that segment for More Good Day Oregon. How did we do that? Because Stephanie Kralovich went, it's been a couple years since I've changed my filter.
Right.
And we did the segment over there.
Yeah, it's sort of out of sight, out of mind, I think, a lot of those things. So I think setting, maybe like daylight savings, which may or may not be here in a few years. We'll see. Yeah. However.
I do mine. Here's how I do it.
Well, if you're going to do your batteries for a smoke alarm.
Yeah.
You do your filters.
Depending on what filters you're doing. Like here, we do ours because of the filter setup we have. We change ours out about every 60 days.
Right.
So what I do with that is that I know kind of what, after a little while, I kind of know where they start to get dirty.
Mm-hmm. And
depending on the weather. Yeah.
For doing that.
So what I do is I set an upcoming appointment on my calendar.
Oh, that's
so
smart.
I do that. So I go, okay, 2 months from now, here's my appointment to go check the filters.
Yeah.
And so when I see that coming up, I order new ones or I run down to the store and grab them and I put them in.
Well, I think it's smart. I think that's a great point for anything around your home. It's so easy to schedule things on your calendar for your kids' activities or your doctor appointments or anything special coming up. Mm-hmm. But maintaining your home is just as important as any other appointment on your calendar.
It is. And
so, it's easy to forget.
Yeah, it's super easy to forget because you're not thinking about it.
No, you're busy.
Everything's going on. Now, here's one thing I'm going to say, too, on top of that. Make sure you get with a heating and cooling professional and schedule that spring maintenance and your fall maintenance. Mm-hmm. What I mean by spring maintenance, for springtime, they're going to come out, they're going to clean out your system, take a look at stuff, they'll make sure they'll pop the cover off it, they'll make sure that you don't have anything in there from dust and maybe even some stuff around the heating stuff, but more importantly, they're going to give your cooling system a once-over. So they're going to make sure that, there's things that fail on a heating and cooling system. So on your air conditioner, for instance, there are things like switches and relays and stuff that they can measure and go, this is going to fail soon. It's on its last leg. They're there. They're fixing it. They're swapping out a piece. What happens when it's a holiday? It's 4th of July weekend. It's 100 degrees outside and your air conditioner stops. You're going to pay 4 times that for people to come out and fix it. So if you're always on this stuff, staying ahead of it, they're going to check to make sure it's charged correctly. When you do all of those things, and then you do the same thing in the fall when it's coming into heating season, they'll make sure that the gas is right. They're going to make sure your electric's right. They're going to make sure that the fan's not plugged up. They're going to make sure all these things are running, make sure that all things are checked out and working correctly. And guess what? If you've got that running efficiently, it's saving you money on gas and electricity.
Yeah, and not on calling them on holidays.
And not paying, for holiday
Yeah, so the
rate.
little bit of money up front saves you a ton of money in the long term.
It does. And then what happens, though, is they're going to give you some ideas. So let's say you're talking to them and they're like, your system's 15 to 20 years old. You need to start putting some money away for a new one because it's going to start paying you back. Mm-hmm. So again, that's one of those things that you should kind of just think about. And when you bring them in like that, it's really easy to build that relationship up with them. And then when things need to get fixed, you can get them before they break.
Right.
And save yourself some money. It happens.
Yeah.
So that's number 2 here. Oh, here we go. I'm getting on my soapbox for this one.
Oh, geez. Here we go.
Here we go. Installing low-cost flooring from unknown sources. If you were listening last year to Around the House, you would hear me really kind of giving the play-by-play of the millions of dollars of lawsuits against lumber liquidators. CBS did that expose. Mm-hmm. And, they have their own kind of branded materials. And they were, admittingly, and I don't have to say allegedly, because they just paid out a bunch of millions of dollars in a settlement, which you saw up on my Facebook page. But they were paying a company in China to stamp on their boxes of flooring that they were formaldehyde-free and met the California CARB standards while they were adding extra formaldehyde in the product.
Ah, jeez.
So now that happened. So they were giving out all this different flooring that they were selling as formaldehyde-free that had loaded full of formaldehyde. And then when they got busted by CBS, they denied it. And then they handed out formaldehyde test kits that wouldn't test formaldehyde.
I remember that.
So they were coming out, and they doubled down on that. And then at the same time, they got busted for illegally hauling woods out of certain countries that were banned.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, and this is not the correct details, but I'll give you an example of this. Let's say there is a hardwood that you can't buy in, let's say it's banned out of Thailand.
Okay.
So, wood X can't be sold out of Thailand. But, to the United States at least, it's banned to come here. But maybe you can go to South Korea for religious reasons. So, they would go in and buy that wood out of Thailand that's banned for sale in the U.S. from Thailand. They would ship it to South Korea for use for religious purposes there because there was an exemption.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would relabel it coming out of South Korea and send it here.
Wow.
So they were transporting around with that. So they got nailed for that with exotic hardwoods as well. So they've had a ton of problems, and to be honest, I know they've got all eyes on them, but makes me nervous. If I'm going to go out and buy flooring, I'm going to go into my local flooring store. I'm going to deal with a name brand product.
Mm-hmm.
There's a ton of great name brand products out there. There's ones I like dealing with, and again, they're not a sponsor of the show or anything, but I deal with Metropolitan Floors. So they have their composite floors, so like their luxury vinyl plank and all those things are the Evoke brand, and you saw that.
I did see that.
We put that in your condo.
Yep.
Before we sold it, and that was a great product. So take a look for those guys out there, because what they do is they test it all in the U.S., and when it's made, they do lots of different testing all the time to make sure everybody's kept honest. One of the things I also like that they do is they do water testing as well. Because, if you've got a hardwood floor, what's the biggest problem you're going to have? Some kind of water on it.
Yeah.
So they'll do with their veneers and stuff, they'll actually take the flooring after it's been produced, they'll soak it in water, immerse it for 24 to 48 hours and soak it and see how it does with that. And they refine their glues and stuff. So I like something that's going to hold up.
Mm-hmm.
So take a look at those guys. You can find them just online, Metropolitan Floors. They're a Canadian-based company. They're big warehouses in the Seattle area. But that's probably the most popular flooring I use out there. And there's tons of other great, Target to all the different brands out there. There's a ton of great brands, but that's my favorite one just because the people are in the Northwest here and they get the Northwest styles and colors and most importantly, the durability for that. So that's another one of those that you just want to be really careful with. I'm going to stay up on the soapbox for another few minutes here. Not hiring an interior designer for large projects. People go, oh, Eric, you're being self-serving now. As an interior designer, you just want everybody to hire an interior designer. I'll be honest, it's going to save you money. And I can tell you why. Okay. So you're going to do let's say you're going to do a kitchen bath remodel. And I see this so often because I'm on a ton of about 2 big Facebook home improvement DIY chat groups. And people go out, they go into this low-end import design service for doing cabinets. They basically design their own kitchen, and they decide to do their own remodel. I've seen people pay 3 times the money because they make horrible decisions of things that don't work well together.
Gotcha.
Like I saw a lady on there that really meant well, but she designed out her kitchen, and so let me paint the picture for you. So throw on your imagination here. So I had a sink base cabinet for the kitchen sink. Right to the right of it was the dishwasher.
Mm-hmm.
Right next to it was the range. She had a big kitchen. Horrible idea.
Mm-hmm.
First problem was she was starting to install it and had it all put together in the picture, and I said, what are you going to do to hold up your quartz countertop? Because the dishwasher doesn't have sides. It goes between 2 cabinets.
Right.
There's no cabinet there. With no cabinet there, guess what happens? Can't install a countertop. So then she had to turn around and put in a filler panel that was big enough there to hold up the countertop. Well, now it messed up her upper cabinet that she already bought because now they're going to be off by a couple inches.
Oh, geez, yeah.
And then when she designed it, she put the blind corner cabinet up against the range. And more importantly, now she couldn't order the blind corner cabinet. She basically had to start this whole kitchen over again.
Oh, my word.
Cabinets were sitting there, and she didn't know how to install them. Her and her husband didn't. If you would have hired a designer to help design that kitchen out, you wouldn't have made all those mistakes. You would have got a better product because somebody would actually help walk you through the process.
Right.
And she'd have ended up with a really nice kitchen. Now she's got a kitchen that looks like some moron designed it out that helped her. And I'm sorry, I'm not calling her a moron, but this is, it's probably the worst functioning kitchen I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Because here's how I design a kitchen. I think of the sink and the dishwasher. That's the cleanup area. So over the top of that dishwasher and the sink is where, as a cook, you're going to probably set your dishes when you're working on stuff.
Yeah.
That's your dirty. If it's not in the sink, it's on the countertop right there. Well, between the sink and the range is your prep area. That's where you want to prep. Well, she just put her cleanup area in her prep area because that's the two places you want to prep.
Yeah.
So now, usually when you're prepping, you want to be cutting stuff up. You want to go to your left. You've got the sink to the left. You're pushing some stuff in the garbage disposal. You're throwing stuff on the countertop. That is your A1 prime real estate for prep. Now you just put the dishes there. And you've got 60 other feet of countertop that has no purpose.
Yeah.
So these are things that happen.
Things you wouldn't think about. You know,
No.
we're all on Pinterest and, oh, that looks great. I can do that.
And you know something? That's the other thing, too, with Pinterest is a great example. I would say probably 20% of the Pinterest pictures that get shared to me and my clients are not legally possible with building code.
Yeah, you've mentioned that to me before. We'll be watching something, or I'll show you something in a magazine, and you're like, well, that's fine. However, you can't actually do that.
Okay, guys, and think about this. Just envision this because we've all seen it. You know, you've got that master bathroom suite with the big soaking tub and the beautiful chandelier over the top of it.
I want that.
Yeah, it's not legal. You can't have a chandelier over the top of the bathtub. Period. You know why?
Why?
You're standing up to get into the tub. You start to lose your grip. You grab the electrical device over the top of your head.
That's not good.
That's dangerous as hell.
Yeah.
It's not good. So those are things that happen. They even require up top, maybe you're splashing it. Maybe you've got a handheld shower and you splash water up there.
Right.
No, not a good idea. You know, those things are not meant for exterior use and you're putting it over water. Mistakes happen. You don't want that. So these are those kind of things that you have to think about. And I can't tell you how many times that I've dealt with people that they started the project with the builder, with the remodeler, they're going, the remodeler says, hey, go out and pick on your own stuff out. Things go sideways because they're out picking out materials that don't go together. Like they're putting in the bathroom. Oh, I want that beautiful marble look bathroom. So they go with a nice polished marble, like you'd see on a fireplace. You ever get out with wet feet on that?
Yes.
You're going to die. You're
going
to die. That's a head injury waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Broken hip or whatever. And so all these things happen. And you know something? For the few $1,000s that you're going to spend working with a designer to walk you through that project, it's going to save you in the long run. They're going to keep you calm. They're going to keep you working through the process. And more importantly, it's going to save you money in the long run. It's a proven fact. If you've got a good designer, they will save you in the money in the long run because they get to go through and they're going to manage your budget for you. If you say, okay, I have X to spend on this and we're not going $1 over it, when they're out shopping, they're the ones going to be saying, you know, that's going to blow your budget up.
Right.
But let's go find this product. That's what a good designer is going to do for you. So that's one of those things that is going to save you a ton of money. All right, well, that's all the time we got for episode number 1 here. When we come back, we're going to dive into hour number 2, just as soon as Around the House returns.
Well,